Hello, everyone. My name is Katya, and I'm a product manager at Fluke Biomedical. I would like to welcome you all to our demo day, OneQA demo day. Thank you all very much for joining. I will start us off by listing a few resources that are available online for you on demand at any point in time. We created these resources for the biomedical community to help you guys navigate through the process of setting up a really solid quality assurance program at your facility. The resources that I'm talking about include our advanced training. You can take free courses there on setting up a good MDQA program. You can watch our Empower webinars that are available on our website, flukebiomedical.com. You can go to Knowledge Center and then webinars, and you will see everything that we've published so far. You can also receive credit for watching those webinars. And we recently also published a new white paper. And this white paper talks about the efficiencies that you can gain while setting up an MDQA program. And we published this white paper from a manager's point of view. So if you are a biomedical manager, we encourage you to read this white paper. If you're not, please share it with your manager. And with that, I'm not going to take up any more time. And we're going to switch over to the actual demo. But to start it off, I would like to ask you a question. And I think we have the question ready. Right, so I think you're all seeing it on your screens right now. The question is, do you like doing paperwork? And we have a few options for you there. The first option is, I love doing paperwork and I wish there was more of it. The second option is, I do not like spending hours on documentation. And the third option is, paperwork doesn't really bother me. So please submit one of your answers to our poll, and we will review the results in a few moments. And with that, I will turn it over to Elliot and Terry to walk us through the poll results and start the demo.
I'll introduce myself. This is Terry Harris. I'm the OneQA salesperson for US and Canada. I'll address this poll that says, do we like doing paperwork? And of course, 63% of us said that we do not like spending hours in documentation, which would be the prevailing sentiment, I'm sure. Having said that and seen this, we're going to show you a solution that would help you improve spending hours on documentation and streamlining your workflow. Introducing you to Elliot Weldon, and he's our applications engineer and former hospital biomed. Go ahead, Elliot.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Dan, Kadi, and Terry for that introduction to Demo Day. I appreciate everybody making it to our demo day for Fluke's OneQA software. My name is Elliot Weldon, and I'm a product applications specialist for the Fluke Biomedical hardware and OneQA here at Fluke Biomedical. The purpose of the demo today is to introduce you to OneQA. If at any time you have any questions about OneQA, please put your questions in the chat. Again, thank you for joining our demo day. For those of you who don't know, OneQA is a workflow automation tool to help biomeds and field service techs complete their job easier. OneQA automates testing with Fluke Biomedical equipment. It is also a great tool to standardize testing procedures across your organization and gives management control of the documentation. Okay, so now we're going to just jump into the OneQA software. OneQA is a Windows-based software. Right now, what you're looking at is the home screen of OneQA. And this is the assets page. So for a lot of you, hospital biomeds, field service techs, maybe even ISOs, you already have a CMMS software. And that's fine. We can integrate with pretty much any CMMS. We have an open API platform. But I do want to go over with this feature in OneQA of keeping assets and asset information in OneQA. Some of you that don't have CMMSs, you might like this, to use this. Even some customers that have CMMSs like just having that redundant asset management tool. So let's just take a look at one of our assets here. This is a Zoll R series, which a lot of you are familiar with. And you know, I only have about 30 assets in here, but you know, we can keep we've had customers put at least 10,000 in here, and there really isn't a limit. So if you're a hospital of with 50,000 assets, I think there would be no problem, storing all those assets in here. So if we look at this asset here, here's a Zoll R series. I put up just a basic picture of the Zoll R series, but you can actually upload exactly where that Zoll R series might be in the hospital. And then here we have a description. So some of our customers like to put the description of where that device is found in the hospital, right? Because we have some equipment that floats around the hospital, and then we have some equipment that just stays in one location. Other than the description and picture, we add our asset ID, serial number, make, model, and then preventative maintenance dates. Under each asset, we have an activity tab, and what that is a log that shows any interaction with that device and OneQA. So anytime a procedure is ran, maybe a preventative maintenance date is changed or the location, and then a results tab. Under each and every asset, we can load, or we have a list of all the procedures that we've started, passed, failed, listed under here. So let's say a nurse wanted to know, hey, when was the last time that that defibs output energy was checked? We can go into our find the asset in the OneQA tool, locate it, and then we can open up this report, and we would see on September 29th we tested this output energy and it passed. So that's kind of what the assets look like in OneQA. The only other thing I like to point out is this status circle here, and we can sort through quickly which devices are compliant with the PM schedule. Green meaning they're good, red meaning they're overdue, so clearly I have some work to do. And then of course yellow is PMs that are coming up soon. So also, and then the last thing I'd like to point out is if you look at my devices here, I have defibs, patient monitors, autoclaves, all sorts of devices. And the beauty of OneQA is procedures of any sort and can be used in here. So today we're going to look at a defib mostly, but keep in mind this is for any device in the hospital. And speaking of defibs, we're going to go look at the procedures. And OneQA has about 50 procedures that come preloaded into OneQA. It's very easy to build procedures in OneQA. And for customers that do work with defibs, we have pre-built the main defibs that you'd find in a hospital. And that's the Zoll R series, the M series, the X, as well as the LifePak 20 and the 20E. So let's take a look at the LifePak 20E procedure here. These procedures are built strictly out of the service manual from the OEM. So as you can see, this is a LifePak 20E built off of the Medtronic. In the beginning of the PM, we have just the basic overview information, which a lot of the senior techs, they don't really need to read this, but this is here for, OneQA is built for not just your senior tech, but for your new tech and your interns. So if we look at the procedure here, we start off with performance inspection, date and time test, basic, tests that you're all familiar with if you do normal defib PMs. And then we get more into the performance testing. So ECG gain, then we start to get into output energy, and here at the bottom, we start to get into electrical safety testing. Now, because this procedure was built with automation, we can connect our Fluke testing equipment to this LifePak 20E procedure. So for this procedure, we might use our electrical safety device made by Fluke, maybe our ESA 612, 615, or 620. And we're also going to use our Impulse 6000 or 7000. Now, for a lot of hospitals, we have alternative equipment maintenance programs that are custom, that you guys might use. And what that is, for whoever's not familiar, is that's just building a procedure that might not have every single step that maybe LifePak or Zoll says that maybe should be done. But you've justified it in a way where it's safe to complete the procedure that way. So with these procedures that are built, it's entirely possible that at your hospital, your management does not want this contrast LED or this contrast test done on your LifePak 20E. So as a manager, they have the ability to assign certain roles of use with the OneQA. So if I'm a manager and I decided, hey, I want my senior tech with 25 years of experience to control the documentation, he would have the right to go into this editing mode that I'm in currently, and he wants to remove this step, so he's just going to select delete. And what that does is that removes that step from the procedure. So now when I click save, that will link to the cloud so that when the rest of my team goes out to do a LifePak 20E procedure, let's say in a week or so, or maybe in 5 minutes after I press save, they will pull down the procedure that I just edited, which really helps with compliance and making sure that everybody's doing the exact procedure. Another feature that I like to show on this procedure building is, like I said, everything's very customizable. So we talked about removing steps. We can also make certain steps mandatory. So if you're a manager and you want to make sure that everybody in the shop, before they hand in their PM, you want them to complete the recording and operating data, we can select make mandatory, and then now this procedure cannot be closed out until this step is completed. Also, if you're a senior tech and you have a lot of knowledge, or maybe you're just a tech that has spent a lot of time on the LifePak 20E, and you have knowledge of the product that we might not be able to find in the service manual, you can come in here and put in your notes. And this is important because when we have techs starting to retire around 30, 35 years in the field, when they leave the biomed shop or the field service organization, they leave kind of a knowledge vacuum. They might know products that you still have the hospital that you no longer have maybe documentation on, or there's no training set up, so we can add notes in here, and then we can also add pictures. So we can add any sort of pictured in any step that will help our techs complete the job. And it's not just for your techs that might, touch the product maybe once every year. It's for those interns that you bring in. It's for the new techs, and really it's just great to just be able to have all that knowledge in there. So now that we've looked at this procedure building, I'd like to get into more of the fun stuff everybody probably wants to see. We talked about the integration with our CMMSs. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up what the integration will look like. So just bear with me one moment. I have a video. Let's see here. I have a video of a screen recording of the integration between Nuvolo, which is a CMMS platform, in OneQA. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch the video. I'm going to walk us through the video, and then when the testing is done in this video, I'm going to take over and we're going to run through a test together. It's just going to show you exactly what your workflow could look like with OneQA. So I'm going to click play here. And what we see, Dylan here is pressing launch OneQA. So the way that this integration was set up is there's a launch OneQA button in the CMMS. And we can see we're in this work order. Looks like it's a preventative maintenance work order. And here's the asset ID. So Dylan clicks launch OneQA. And what he's doing here is he's launching OneQA from the CMMS. So now that we're in the CMMS, I'm going to take us back to the actual software so we can take a look at this. So the work order ID would come over from the integration, and then we would have our asset information in here that comes over from the CMMS. Okay, so now we have our test device information. So for any Fluke testing equipment, it's going to automatically populate into your work order. So in here we have our serial number, calibration date of the devices that we're going to use to complete this test. And we talked about earlier being able to pull up procedures that were completed under a certain asset. We can also pull up procedures that are completed with certain test devices. So if there's maybe a question on a test device or whatever, you just want to be able to pull up your completed procedures of a certain with using a certain certain test equipment, we can do that with OneQA. But either way, let's go through this procedure. This is just a basic procedure. Carefully inspect the device for any damage. We'll pass. Now we get into the automation. So this is an earth leakage current test. Keep in mind, we're still connecting the electrical safety analyzer to the device under test. The only difference now is that OneQA is running that safety analyzer. So now we're just going to let OneQA take over and do the work. Some of you might not use or do reverse polarity testing at your hospital. And again, everything in OneQA is customizable. So we can just remove this reverse polarity step from our workflow. This last test here is the ground resistance, which just a basic test. And then the last step to this PM procedure that I've built is just replacing that PM sticker. Always important in the hospital. So now I'm going to select completed. And when you're done with the procedure, we select done here. And we're going to go back to my video that I have queued up. So once I select done, what ends up happening is we end up back in the data tab. The data tab again is a location where we see all of our completed work. And let's just see here what Dylan wants to do. He is going to go into Nuvolo and select refresh. And when he selects refresh, we're back still in that same work order. He's going to scroll down because we want to make sure that our data came across, which of course it did, under verification data. And we can see that this test passed. And we also see that there is a copy of the procedure attached to the work order. And what that looks like is this. So in OneQA, it comes with a customizable or a tool to customize your reporting. So if you wanted to build reports for your hospital, your field service organization, we can customize these reports. Keep as much information in here as you'd like, or as little. And then we can also customize this logo here. Okay, so that's what that looks like. And the last thing I would like to show about with OneQA is, have you been a biomed? This is probably one of my more favorite features of OneQA. The run tab here, and what the run tab does is, as a biomed, a lot of times you get interrupted because you got to wear multiple hats. So let's say a nurse calls you and says, hey, I need you to check out this blood pressure cuff in OR12. And while they called you, you were doing a PM on a scale. Okay, so I'll have to close out my procedure, go work on the blood pressure cuff for that patient monitor, and then at some point have to come back and finish my scale PM. Well, if it's been a day or a week or whatever the case may be, you might not exactly know where you left off. You don't want to skip a step, miss a step. You just go to the run tab, find the procedure that you're looking for, and select play. What that'll do is that'll pull up exactly where you left off. So if I look at this report here, I can see that I did the first 3 steps, but I stopped when I needed to test the accuracy of the scale. So what I'll do here is I'll complete, that step. I'll go through, complete the rest of the procedure, and then what'll end up happening is my procedure will copy over to the CMMS under the work order that needs to be filed in, and then that report will also copy over to the data tab, where I'll have timestamps of when I open and close that procedure. This is the basics of OneQA. Again, it's a great tool to standardize your procedures and automate your testing. It's in keeping that keeping your procedures compliant. The last thing I wanted to show everybody here is how to sign up for a trial if you're interested. So I believe in the chat there is a link to this. It is flukebiomedical.com/1QA trial. And what you'll do is you'll just fill out this form. This is for a 30-day free trial. So we're going to select first name, last name, just put in company, meaning, you know, your hospital or your company that you work for. Tenant name is just, again, going to be, you know, just leave it basic, like the company name or the hospital that you work at. Team size is just how many people are in your shop or your field service organization. And then you just complete your password. What happens is you create the account, you'll get an email from Fluke, you'll click the link, and what that link will do is it'll walk you through how to download OneQA. And then when you download, you can start using the 30-day trial, and you'll get to see really how great OneQA is. That's what I have for you guys today. So I'm going to hand it off to the team here, and thanks for spending the time with us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elliot. This was really a great demo of the capabilities of OneQA. We have a limited time today, so obviously we're not able to show you the entirety of all the great features, but I think this was a really good overview. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We had a few questions come in during the demo. Let me start with the first one. Is it possible to use OneQA without a CMMS?
Yeah, yep. OneQA can definitely be used without a CMMS. One of the beauties of OneQA is that it's very customizable. So if you have that CMMS, you can take full advantage of the integration. But if you do not have a CMMS, you can use that, we like to call like an asset management light tool, where we can keep all of our assets in OneQA, and also keep all the documentation in OneQA.
Very nice. Next question is, all right, so do I need a paid license to continue using it? I will start off by saying that you do not need to pay anything to try it out for the first 30 days, which will be a good time for you to at least get onboarded with the system. And we're here to help you, to hold your hand through the process. If you need our assistance with it, just let us know. However, after the 30-day trial, you will need a paid license. And I don't know, Elliot and Terry, if you want to elaborate on that.
Sure, I can talk about that. So you're going to have a difference on a trial versus a subscription license. It is a price that is per user per month, and usually it's in a 12-month contract as it goes along. I saw there was another question where the difference between, say, an answer license and a OneQA license. Answer license is a perpetual one-time upfront license, whereas OneQA is a SaaS software. It's a service subscription software. Did that answer the question?
I think so. If that was not clear, if you have any more follow-up questions, please let us know. Post them in the questions tab. But we'll continue with the other questions. The next one is, all right, so, all right, how do you connect it to your analyzers?
Yeah, if you're using Fluke testing analyzers, the way that OneQA is connected to them is just a basic, it's a USB cable. And when you ordered your Fluke testing equipment, that cable was supplied to you in the package that it came in. And if you are using test equipment that is not, the OneQA automated equipment, you just do your test outside of OneQA and you just type in the answers manually.
Yeah, so basically you connect your laptop running OneQA to your analyzer with a cable. and the cable was provided with your Fluke Biomedical product. All right, let's see if we have time for more questions. All right, can you use it? Okay, so this question is sort of related. Can you use OneQA with non-Fluke products?
You can. What the Fluke testing equipment that automates is obviously great, but you can also use other brands or other Fluke testing equipment that does not automate. So you know, it's any testing equipment that you have that you use currently, you can use with OneQA.
All right, we're getting a lot of questions, and for the audience, if we did not get to your questions, there's no worry. Please send us an email with the questions you have, and we will do our best in answering those and get back to you. I will post an email into chat so you can all copy it and use it. So the next question is, how do we link OneQA with the assets?
Yeah, so in OneQA, you would pull your assets in. If you're not using integration, you put your assets into OneQA, and then you just go through. There's a feature in there where you can select, you know, let's say you want to link your Zoll test to the Zoll PM to the Zoll pieces of medical equipment. There's a tool to do that. And then if you're doing integration with your CMMS, that's all kind of done in the back end. Really what it is, you're just putting a link in to where that procedure is located, and then you put that under in the asset in your CMMS, and then it links the procedures together to the asset.
I think I'm hearing a bit of an echo. I hope it's okay for everybody else. I think we have time for one more question. So the other question was, can we use this in a calibration laboratory?
You can. OneQA is used, you know, at hospitals and for OEMs. And it, you know, as long as you're testing medical equipment, you should be able to use OneQA.
Very nice. And I think, Dan, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think with that, our time is up. Or do we have time for one more question?
I think we could squeeze one more in. We have a lot of questions coming in, and yet, like Katya said, I did put the email in chat. So please, if we do not get to your question, do send us an email. But let's do one more, and then we'll close her up.
All right. So then the next question was, does OneQA indicate the connecting procedure with the DUT, device under test?
Could you say that one more time? I just wanted to make sure I got that correct.
Sure. So I think the question is whether or not OneQA guides you through the connecting procedure or how to connect with your DUT.
Yeah. So OneQA, you link the procedure that you've created or that you're using to the asset specifically, and then if you can see my screen, what you do is you find the asset, and then under, if you're not using integration, you just go to the procedures that you've already linked, find the procedure you like to complete, and then you just select play, and then that's how you complete the procedure. And after I did that, you can see the asset IDs connected. Just like if we had that integration, you're going to have all that information in there.
All right, I hope that answers the question. So with that, we are out of time at this moment, but we thank you all very much for joining us today for this demo.